All right, let's do it. Okay, so I know what I want to talk about. I didn't script it though, but I know what I want to talk about. So let me just fix the mic up a little bit so it's like more in my face and shit. I don't know. Get the mic proper. It's probably gonna be really noisy, but get the proper mic positions or something like that, right? Like anyway, this is what you have to do to figure out. Okay, I'm gonna keep that in the video because it's very human. It's very natural. All right. So major updates. Number one, the app that I have been alluding to on various occasions is live, but not live like on the App Store or anything. Like you can download it right now. Don't do that. If you find it, please don't. Anyway, I haven't even told you what it's called, but just don't do that because that's not where we're at right now. It's live on like test flight, which means it's open for beta testing, which means you give us your email and, elect to be a beta tester, or not elect, but opt in to be a beta tester. And then we'll send you all the shit so that you can do it. Okay, so it's live, half semi live, I guess, whatever you want to call it. So that's cool. And next week, I'm going to be going from next week. I'm going to be going on campus and talking to people, talking to students, enticing them with the newness, getting them excited, and hopefully getting them signed up and willing to test this bitch for us because we need the help. Thank you. Awesome. So help me God. So yeah, that's it on the app front. Live on test flight. So test flight is what you would use for Apple to get the app on for beta testing, and that Expo is what we're using for Android. I think I'll have to talk to my devs about that, but I think Expo is what we're using for Android. If not, there's some sort of preliminary primary beta testing suite solution in the Google Play Store or something. I'll have to verify that. But anyway, so that's that. Two. Yeah, okay, I just had to make sure this was recording. Fucking scared the hell out of me right there. Let me just. Okay, you gotta see it. You have to see it for it to be real. Okay. Two, with the gym that I'm helping out at, launched the first campaign for February. He's got a big February deal and whatever. So started that campaign. Email sent out the day before yesterday. Right now the stats. So 2 days ago. Right now the stats are sitting at 53% open rate, which is good. That's a healthy number to be at, around 50, 60, I reckon. Anything more is obviously amazing, but like 50, 60 is pretty benchmark. That's a good number to be at. But the click through rate is 3%, meaning either we're not grabbing the people and they don't care to read until the link or whatever, like the call to action, or the call to action just isn't enticing enough if they had read through it. So we need to figure out what's going on over there. All right. But anyway, we're learning, right? We're trying to figure out how to speak to his audience and get conversions going. Cool. Number three. So if you recall, I was talking about a studio, the dude that I just walked in, met the owner, blah blah blah. He was like, "Yeah, I'll send you the schedule, yada yada yada." Okay, so met him on Sunday. Waited for the schedule on Monday. I think I phoned him on Tuesday morning to remind him. Instagrammed on Wednesday, I think, to remind. Yesterday was Thursday. All right, so 5 days, that's sort of how the things progressed, and no silence. Anyway, so throughout that time, I was doing what I can, just like, hey, by the way, hey, remember, hey, hey, hey. That is a really crucial point in this extrapolates again to the rest of your life. In any sort of situation, you'll be faced with this exact scenario where there's some interest expressed, but a lack of communication, and you don't have answers. You don't know why there's a lack of communication. It could be for a bajillion things, like it could be any number of completely arbitrary reasons. You know what I mean? So there's like, don't lose your cool, be calm, right? Same thing happens with girls, right? She'll not respond to you for 4 days, and then you're like, ah, if you're that kind of person, you're either the I don't give a fuck her kind of guy, which is not really a good attitude to have about life, but self-preservation, Or you'd be like, what's going on? She could have lost her phone, her mom could have died, she could have been anything, but immediately your brain's like, oh, she's ignoring me, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not. So similar kind of situation over here. I wasn't freaking out, obviously. I just felt like, oh, that sucks, because this would have been a really cool studio to work at. But anyway, yesterday I went to a completely different studio, which is even like way cooler, like super duper duper sick. The only caveat is that it's pretty far. So I'd rather work at this guy's studio closer by than the other one that's like an hour away to get to. But it's super dope. But anyway, he said I should just give him a shout. Maybe they're hiring like March, April, whatever. So I was like, oh, this guy's not responding. I can take a hint. You know what I mean? That kind of situation. But I thought, you know what? I owe it to myself to just try one more time. So I actually physically went there again one more time. And I met the dude, and he's super chilled. Like, he didn't even realize that the schedule wasn't sent to me, because he was busy building a new part of his, what does he call, a flex wall or something. I don't know. I think it's called a flex wall, whatever. So he was expanding that. So the past 2 3 days, he's been sleeping in the studio building this flex wall. So this motherfucker doesn't have time to send me a schedule. So he probably gave it to somebody else to do, and somebody else was lacking. They were sleeping. You know what I'm saying? So I just went to him one more time, and he was like, "Yo, let me just add you in the schedule right now. Like, here you go, bada bada bing, bada boom, and then you come on down for whatever is most appealing to you." So I said, cool. So that was dope. And that's just a lesson, right? Like, there is a point where you give up, quote unquote, give up. And it's like, you can't force something to happen if it's not meant for you, but you can do your best, right? You can, like, still push, still follow up, still push. And then obviously there's going to be a point where you're like, it's not worth the effort anymore. Because I was also thinking, all right, like, my time is valuable, right? Like, I can't be going up and down, trying to get a hold of this guy. And hopefully this doesn't speak to any future interactions where this kind of communication breakdown becomes a problem, right? My time is valuable. I don't have time for that shit. So, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot one more time. And if it's not happening, it's not happening. All right. Gave it a shot one more time, and it's doing all right. So that's just a real quick update, 10-minute update. That's not what I want to talk about in this video, but I just wanted to let you guys know what's going on with me. Cool. I got my coffee right here. Cheers, absolutely. Like my man Philion would say. This for you, Phil. Here we go. Nice hazelnut. It's not a fresh espresso. Philion, I'm sorry. I don't have the coffee maker. I'm sorry. But, that's my coffee. Hazelnut. Love that shit. Anyway, what are we talking about today? Today, I wanted to talk about, like, character, imposter syndrome, self-limiting beliefs, things like that. So, I guess I'll preface with the imposter syndrome, right? And I'm sure many people can relate, have always been the kind of person who, since birth, is, oh my God, so brilliant. Like, oh, fucking Andrew is just so smart and so talented, and he can do anything and all that jazz. Okay. I can't validate that, because most of my life I was just not, I was a kid and not really aware of my capacities. I was just naturally good at shit, apparently, right? And so that's cool. But that is where imposter syndrome is born, right? Because you're fucking amazing throughout your entire life until suddenly you're not amazing anymore. Or, well, two things happen. You're not amazing anymore because you're really starting, like, life is hitting you and nobody's there saying how amazing you are. It's just you and you trying to figure it out. And then you're like, oh, I thought I was the shit. You know what I mean? Which is a challenge on character, which is a difficult thing to deal with. Or number two, you know, you have some aptitudes and you're able to do a lot of things without necessarily having to struggle, or you do things with ease that other people think are really difficult, and you're like, I don't know, man, like, these guys are out here working really hard for this shit and I'm kind of just here. Imposter syndrome. it's interesting. It's very interesting, and it's a complicated thing to deal with, right? But the thing that I've been thinking about lately is that imposter syndrome, it's a thing. Like it's a thing. It's irrelevant, right? It's just a thing. It's an aspect of life. It's just an understanding. It's a way your brain is processing information. You know what I mean? Like, because what else? How else is it supposed to think? You're told forever and ever that you're amazing, right? And perhaps you do have some, natural sort of aptitudes, talents, capacities to be able to do things fairly simply. So how else is your brain supposed to reconcile all of that? It's like you're with people who are working really hard to achieve a thing that you're able to achieve without working so hard. You're the one out of the few, right? Unless you put yourself in a band of imposters, in which case then you guys can like, vibe. You can connect with each other, I guess. I don't find too many people like that. My circle is very small, but you so then your brain is like, well, I'm the odd one out, right? I must be the imposter because everyone else is doing 10 times the work, grafting all day, all night. Meanwhile, I'm here doing like 3 hours of the work and getting the same results, if not more results. So I must be like, do I deserve to be in this position, right? Like, am I that smart? Am I just fooling everybody into believing I'm the shit? You know what I mean? So, but what I've been thinking about is that imposter syndrome, right, brought about by your environment, by your parents, they did their best. Obviously, they want to motivate you and make you feel like you have capacity, right? You're capable. There's a thin line between, I think there's a thin line between making you feel capable and then sort of setting you up for failure by making you feel invincible, and then shit hits the fan and you're like, oh, I'm not as good as I thought anymore, right? It's the same thing throughout high school. Everyone's fucking, you're killing it for no reason. And then you get to uni, everyone drops out, right? That's that switch. You thought you were invincible. Oh, you're not. You ain't shit, nigga. And then you carry on. So that's that situation. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about that. I haven't really thought too hard about that, but I do want to talk about the imposter syndrome, right? And cheers, absolutely. Some good coffee. What would I do without coffee? What would the world do without coffee? Anyway, so this imposter syndrome is the result of a belief, a limiting belief, right? And I think, as far as I've thought about this, I think that limiting belief is you feeling like you don't deserve whatever you have, right? Or deserve, whether that's like an innate ability or a talent or a skill or just the capacity all round, whatever it takes to be able to get to some position. That imposter syndrome is the result of you feeling like you don't deserve what you have. And you need to fix that. I need to fix that. I'm pointing at the camera who's pointing back at me, so it's the same thing. I need to fix that. I don't very much feel like an imposter these days, although I used to heavily like rewind 2 years all the way back to birth. I was born feeling like an imposter. I popped out and I was like, I don't deserve to be here. I think if anything was more like I opened my eyes and I was like, this is some bullshit. I want to go back. Immediately knew that the world was on some shit. But yeah, so all the way as far back as I can remember, imposter syndrome. Oh my God, Andrew's so good at it. He's good at football. He's good at school. He's good at art. He's good at. Okay, all right, thanks. I guess maybe cool, irrelevant. So imposter syndrome all the way, every way, all the time, until recently. And I don't know what I changed recently. It kind of just went away. But I think the idea here is that if this is something that you're facing, you have it because there's a limiting belief. Because let's just look at it objectively, right? If you didn't have the belief that you don't deserve the things that you've gotten, whether it's your natural capacities or the things that you've worked towards, then you're going to feel like comparatively you stole it, right? Everyone else worked so hard for it. You didn't, but you got it. You're going to feel like you stole it, right? Whereas if you flipped your mindset, you flipped the switch, and you actually did, you do believe that you deserve it, right? Like you put in the application, and this is sort of linked to what I was talking about in the previous episode. Those who do deserve, right? Like you put in the application, you went to the guy, to the facility, you spoke to the person, you know what I mean? You put your head down, you got your certificates, you studied, maybe not as hard as the other dudes, but that has nothing to do with you, right? Just similarly on a racetrack, some dudes are just gonna have to exert more energy, you know what I mean? They're gonna have to expend more impetus to get as far as you're getting, or to go as fast as you're going. It has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with them, right? It's not like you win the race, you get out first and you're like, I don't deserve this, man, I'm just too good. It's like, well, yeah, but it's not like you're not going to training, you're training too. Unfortunately, they're just at a disadvantage, maybe, whatever. I don't know what, you know what I mean? Like, the world works in very interesting ways. Not everyone can win at the same time all the time, right? So it's like, how you compare yourself to these other guys. Look, at the end of the day, you're probably, like, realistically, you know, opportunities aren't just falling from the sky in your lap. Maybe for some people, just by virtue of how they've been set up in life or who their parents know or things like that. But like, opportunities without you doing anything about them aren't just falling into your lap. I'm not just getting fucking emails on emails of job offers and interviews, without me having a LinkedIn, an active LinkedIn, without me having an Indeed profile, without me having any of this stuff. They're not just people aren't just phoning me all of a sudden like, hey, I don't know how I saw your profile, but you'd be a perfect fit for this role. Like, I don't know who you are, but come work here. That's just not happening. And if it is happening, it's probably a scam. So you should, like, watch out. But you know what I mean? So things are happening because you're putting things in motion, right? Like, you're putting your foot forward, you're doing shit. And so you deserve the business, right? You deserve wagwan and what the results of that are. And it's just like, you go ahead and you do the work, you get the results, right? And maybe unfortunately the next dude has to do twice the work to get similar results. But you shouldn't feel like you don't deserve the fruits of your labor because some dude is doing more labor. You know what I mean? And that's that imposter syndrome. And that's how you deal with that. You have to remember that you also deserve the things that you get. And it goes both ways. You deserve the good things that you get. And in a lot of ways, you also deserve the bad things that you get, right? Because if we're looking at this holistically, those who do deserve, if you do good shit, then you should fully embrace and deserve the good shit that you get. If you do bad shit, consequences will come, and you should fully embrace the results. You know what I mean? The bad shit that you get. I think that's fair, right? Because if you're doing half the work that homie is doing and getting all the results, then you also must accept that when the bad shit happens, you got to take it on the chin and take responsibility for those actions. You probably did some shit. Bad shit isn't just falling from the sky. I mean, obviously, like, certain things are out of your control. Most things are out of your control. But you have to take responsibility for them one way or another, right? You have to do what you can about it, grieve if you need to, take responsibility for it, and move on. Okay, that is a whole, I don't know why I went there. That's a whole other talking point. But anyway, that's the point that I was trying to make, the imposter syndrome. Let's get some coffee real quick. The imposter syndrome can be dealt with if this is something that you feel, and you feel as though it's hindering your ability to progress or hindering your satisfaction in the things that you do. Recognize that that imposter syndrome is a limiting belief, and it's you telling yourself that you don't deserve the things that you have, which is nonsensical. Ideally, you should have a sort of bulletproof kind of, character, and that you do deserve it. You're like, yep, I worked for this. This is mine. I'm going to take it. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to kill it. Move on to the next thing, which moving on to the next thing is sort of, in addition, what I wanted to talk about, character, fake it till you make it kind of thing. And like it gets weird for me, right? Being a fitness consultant, a big part of my job is to help people get their fitness right and prescribe, recommend things to do, and then ensure that they stay accountable to those things. It makes me feel really weird that I oftentimes don't stick to those things. Of course, it makes me feel weird. I'm telling people they should work out at least 3 times a week to get the results that they're looking for. There are some times where I don't work out 3 times a week. And that makes me feel weird because how am I supposed to be able to tell them with conviction when I can't even do it myself, right? Similarly, it's the same thing that, doctors, they tell their patients to do this, that, and the other thing, tell them not to smoke. Meanwhile, after that consultation, the doctor goes out and smokes. You listen to what I say, or do as I say, not as I do type of situation. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And I think it's okay. Like realistically, objectively, it's okay because it's not easy to be 100% all the time, right? Like, yes, make it a habit, ingrain it, let it become who you are. And in a lot of ways, it is who I am, right? If I don't go to the gym for a long period of time, I feel really weird and my body's like, no, there's something wrong. You need to go. You know what I mean? So it's not like I could just sit back and relax forever and ever. Amen. If I don't go to the gym, I feel weird about it. But it also makes me feel weird when I'm not going to the gym consistently and then telling people that they should be going to the gym consistently. It's strange. And then also, on top of that, this sort of leads into the fake it till you make it because I think that's a superpower, right? I think that's a way of almost hypnosis, right? It's like a way of designing the person that you want to be. I think there's a lot of power to the statement fake it till you make it. Whoever coined that is a sage. They're connected because that's I feel like that's a superpower to getting places. You want to be a particular person, you want to, embody certain characteristics, fake it. Pretend like you're that person. You know what I mean? You just pretend like you're that person. You want to be fucking Bill Gates or something? Pretend that you're Bill Gates. Do what Bill Gates does. Not to say that you'll become Bill Gates, but you'll probably, reach a similar level of success. You'll fake it till you make it, designing this character. Once you start doing the thing, it'll make you start doing the things that that character does until it becomes who you are, right? So you literally faked it until you made it. I'm an entrepreneur, you know what I'm saying? And there are certain character traits of the person, of that Andrew in the future that I'm trying to embody, right? So if I keep telling myself that I'm an entrepreneur, if I keep doing the things that entrepreneurs do, if I keep, putting C-suite executive labels in my LinkedIn and then my email signatures and stuff, one day that shit will be valid. One day that shit will be true. You know what I mean? I have CEO in my email signature. One day I will be a CEO, right? Like, it's difficult to say. It's really difficult to validate that I'm an entrepreneur right now because I've kind of like made no money for my projects or my endeavors. But what does an entrepreneur do? An entrepreneur takes an idea, makes it a product, right? Puts it into action, makes it a real thing that people can engage with, and then hopefully makes money off of it, right? I'm at the stage of having turned this idea into a real thing, and we're slowly getting to the stage of, getting people to use it, interact, engage with the product. That's what entrepreneurs do. What do entrepreneurs do? They go and build businesses, right? The guy whose gym I'm helping him build his business. That's what an entrepreneur does, right? So I'm entrepreneuring over there. There's no money, right? Or you would be like, oh, you're an entrepreneur. Where's the money? It's like the money, it takes time. It takes time to come. But once it does come, I literally faked it till I made it, right? Like I embodied the characteristics. I had the mindset of an entrepreneur and I engaged in the activities that entrepreneurs would engage in. I walked into that guy's gym as if I knew what the answers were. If I was if I had been doing this, like that's who I am, I would have the same kind of energy because I have the proof. I know that I've done this before, so I can just walk into a gym like I know what I'm talking about and help make a difference. Similarly, I'd be able to just build an app because I've done it before. I have the experience, no fear, just go do it. I faked it. I faked it earlier. I was like, you know what would an entrepreneur do? What would future Andrew do? As scared as I was, as confused as I was, with no information whatsoever, I just did it, right? And then now things are materializing. And eventually, if I keep faking it, playing this game, not being disingenuous, not lying to people about what I'm capable of doing, but just sort of coloring the truth a little bit of hyperbole so that I can create space for me to grow into that person, into that outline, into that character, then that's how you fake it till you make it. That's how I mean, you do enough bullshit actions, eventually they will become who you are, right? You use enough slang facetiously, you know what I mean, just to mock the slang, eventually it's going to become a part of, the way you speak. Does that make sense? I know this video is sort of all over the place right now. And maybe I'll revisit these topics. It's just that the next couple of days, I don't know that I'm gonna have so much time to record this video, so I just wanted to do it now, and get the ideas out there. Anyway, I don't give a fuck because how many people are gonna watch this anyway? So whatever. I just recorded, put it out there. The whole idea is getting used to doing this, and then I'll figure out the rest along the way. But there's some nuggets of wisdom in there. If you listen, pay attention. I don't want this video to get too long because it's already pretty long. But dissect that. There's some nuggets of wisdom in there. If you don't already know, if you do know, then come at me with your rebuttals, and we'll hash it out in the comments. Catch me outside. How about that? And yeah, I'll probably write some of these down and sort of dissect them a little bit more. But I just wanted to, imposter syndrome, it's because you inherently don't believe you deserve the shit that you have, so fix that shit, and imposter syndrome won't bother you anymore. Number two, fake it till you make it. Again, don't be disingenuous. Don't show up to an operating room and be like, yo, I'm a doctor, because they're gonna know that you're not a surgeon of any capacity, and they're gonna know that. But you are allowed at home to play pretend until one day you embody the characteristics and have the knowledge of a doctor, of a surgeon. And then one day you'll be in the operating room and you can identify yourself as a surgeon. That's cool. That's how manifestation, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Just do the actions of the person you want to become. Eventually they will become who you are. Manifested. And yeah, that's it. Those are the two things: imposter syndrome and fake it till you make it character. Embody those characteristics. And yeah, okay, good job.